Welcome back to Malaysia Money Matters. It's December 6th, 2024. And wow, we've got a lot to cover today. Company updates, some major global happenings, things that could really impact our market.
It's going to be a busy one for sure. Legal issues, market shifts, even international developments, all with the potential to shake things up right here at home.
Okay, well, let's jump right in then. First up, Fashion Valet.
Ah, yeah.
They were huge, right? Big name in online fashion, but
Yeah.
things have taken a bit of a turn.
A big turn. Some serious allegations have come out against the co-founders, Datuk Fadzarudin Shah Anuar and Datin Vivy Sofinas Yusof.
We're talking about those accusations of misusing funds. 8 million ringgit, that's what I heard.
That's right. They're accused of transferring that money from Fashion Valet to another company, 30 Maple, without getting the okay from their board.
8 million, wow. And what is this 30 Maple? What do they even do?
Well, they run a luxury headscarf brand.
Okay.
But here's where it gets interesting. Fashion Valet only became a shareholder in 30 Maple after this transfer supposedly happened.
Hold on. So they allegedly moved all that money to a company they were already involved with before Fashion Valet had any ownership.
Exactly. And that timeline is raising a lot of eyebrows. This whole thing has really caught the attention of, well, anyone who cares about how companies are run, how investment money is being used.
Yeah, especially with those big losses reported by some of Fashion Valet's investors last year. This could really damage investor trust if it turns out to be true.
No doubt about it. People need to feel confident that companies are playing by the rules. Their money's being handled responsibly. This case, it could have a much wider impact, going way beyond just Fashion Valet itself.
Okay, well, let's shift gears a bit. From possible financial missteps to a deal that has a lot of people scratching their heads, Temasek and UMobile.
Yeah, this one's a real head scratcher.
It really is.
It's the way they announced it that's causing all the confusion. Selling a majority stake in UMobile, but they'll still hold on to a 20% share, so they'd be a minority shareholder.
Wait, but their public stake, wasn't it only 48.25%? That's not even a majority.
Yeah.
So what are they saying? They actually own more of UMobile than they've let on, or are they just, I don't know, being creative with the definition of a majority stake?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And as if that wasn't enough, the company buying this stake, it has connections to, well, let's just say a very prominent businessman and a Johor princess.
Wow, so this is about more than just numbers then. This could be a whole power play in the telecom world, especially with UMobile getting picked to build our second 5G network.
Oh, absolutely. It's not just a business deal. It's potentially reshaping the whole landscape of telecommunications in Malaysia.
Okay, well, let's move on from corporate maneuvering to some political news that's making waves. Batu Putih.
Back in the headlines again.
And is.
This time it's about accountability at the highest level. The commission that's been investigating the whole Batu Putih situation, well, they've recommended a criminal investigation into former Prime Minister Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad.
Wow, a criminal investigation. That's a big deal. What are they saying he did?
The claim is that he might have deliberately influenced the cabinet to drop Malaysia's attempt to get Batu Putih back from Singapore, even though experts thought we had a really strong case.
That's a serious accusation. But is everyone on the commission even in agreement on this?
Not entirely. Two members, they think Mahathir's actions weren't criminal. Just a lapse in judgment, a serious one at that.
Okay, so internal disagreements, but still, the fact that a formal investigation has been recommended, that's huge. This could have major implications, not just for international relations, but for public trust in how decisions are made at the highest levels.
Couldn't agree more.
Okay, now let's bring it back to the market itself. Some big changes coming to the main stock index, the FBMK LCI.
Big changes indeed.
Gamuda and 99 Speedmart, they're joining the index. While Genting and Genting Malaysia, they're being removed.
It's a real reflection of, how well Gamuda and 99 Speedmart have been performing. And on the flip side, the Genting group, they've been struggling a bit lately.
It's a sign of the times, isn't it? The companies that are adapting, growing, they're being recognized.
Yeah.
And those facing challenges while they're making way for the newcomers.
Absolutely. The index is supposed to show the overall health of the Malaysian market, how it's moving, these changes. They just highlight how dynamic our economy really is.
Lots to keep track of.
Yeah.
Lots to keep track of. But before we get into the nitty-gritty of these big stories, let's just touch on a few other things happening that are definitely worth noting.
For sure.
Supermax, for one, the glove maker. Share price jumped up quite a bit thanks to their U.S. facility. Seems like the U.S. government wants to boost local glove production. Could be a big opportunity for Supermax.
Huge opportunity.
And then we have a new kid on the block, Cropmate. Made their debut on the stock market with a pretty solid start. They're banking on, well, China's love for durian and a rebound in fertilizer prices.
Interesting combo.
It is, isn't it? And finally, some major tech news. Japan's NTT Data making a big splash in Johor Bahru, buying up a huge plot of land to build, get this, one of the largest data center campuses in the whole Asia-Pacific region.
It's a real vote of confidence in Malaysia's tech sector. We're becoming a major player in the digital infrastructure game.
So much happening. But before we wrap up part one, we can't forget about Datuk Seri Najib Razak, back in the headlines again with another legal battle.
It never ends, does it?
It really doesn't. This time he's trying to bring in some new evidence in his appeal for a review of, well, his house arrest situation. Something about a document, maybe an amendment to his pardon order.
Oh, very hush-hush.
It is. His son, the state official, says he received it. But the details, nobody knows.
A secret document, Sounds like the start of a spy thriller.
It really does. But for now, that's all we've got.
We'll have to wait and see how this unfolds.
We will. And on that note, that is it for part one of our deep dive.
Join us again in part two, where we'll be taking a much closer look at that Fashion Valet case and the whole Temasek UMobile deal. Lots more to uncover.
Welcome back to the show. Let's dive deeper into those two stories that left us with a lot of questions. Fashion Valet and that whole Temasek UMobile deal.
Yeah, lots to unpack there for sure. So Fashion Valet, those accusations against the co-founders are pretty serious stuff. What's the latest there?
Well, they've appeared in court, plead not guilty. Their lawyers arguing they're not a flight risk. They've been cooperating with the authorities the whole time.
So they're sticking to their story. But we're still talking about, what, 8 million ringgit? That's not small change. What's the prosecution saying about all this?
Initially, they hinted they might oppose bail. But given that the couple's been cooperating, they ended up asking for a reasonable bail amount and some conditions, like surrendering their passports.
Okay, so making sure they don't skip town. Makes sense.
Exactly. Judge set bail, imposed the conditions the prosecution asked for. Case is going to continue next year. All right, so we'll have to wait and see what happens there. Now let's try to untangle this Temasek UMobile situation. Have we learned anything new?
It's still pretty murky. The sale of that stake in UMobile, it's all the vague language that's causing the confusion. Remember, they're talking about selling a majority stake, but then holding on to 20%, which would make them a minority shareholder.
Yeah, it's just not adding up. Their publicly known stake was only 48.25%, not a majority at all.
Right.
So what gives? Do they own more of UMobile than they've let on? Or, I don't know, is their definition of majority stake a little different from everyone else's?
Who knows? Maybe they're trying to downplay how much they're actually selling, or maybe there's some stuff happening behind the scenes that we just don't know about.
Could be. Could be. But whatever the reason, the specifics of this deal, they're going to be under a microscope, especially with who's doing the buying.
Oh, yeah. That company with connections to Tan Sri Vincent Tan and Tunku Aminah Sultan Ibrahim, that's a powerful combination.
It is. And they're already involved with UMobile. The Sultan's a major shareholder, so this deal could give them even more control. No wonder people are paying attention.
It's about way more than just buying and selling shares. This is about influence, power, the future of a major player in our telecoms sector.
Every corporate deal has a story behind it, it seems. Let's move on to Datuk Seri Najib Razak. He's back in the news. More legal battles.
Seems like a never-ending saga.
It does, doesn't it?
Oh,
what's he up to this time?
He's trying to introduce new evidence as part of his appeal to, review his house arrest situation.
What kind of new evidence are we talking about here?
They're keeping it pretty quiet, but it seems to involve a document, maybe some kind of amendment to his pardon order, which he claims would allow him to, serve the rest of his sentence under house arrest.
A secret document. Where did this even come from?
That's the mysterious part. His son, the state official, says he got it, but no details.
So Najib's team is trying to use this mystery document to argue for his release. Sounds like something out of a movie.
It does, doesn't it?
What are the authorities saying about all this? About the document?
They're denying it exists, but Najib's lawyers are pushing for a judicial review. They want to force the authorities to acknowledge it.
So a legal battle over a document that may or may not exist. This could go on for a while.
Definitely adds another layer of complexity to an already complicated situation.
Okay, well, shifting gears a bit, there's some stuff happening in the global energy markets that could have an impact on us here.
Yeah. OPEC plus Hovet.
Right.
The group of all these big oil-producing nations, they've decided to postpone increasing oil production. Again, for another 3 months.
Another delay, huh? What's the reason this time?
Worried about creating a surplus of oil. which, would cause prices to drop. They're hoping to keep prices stable.
Okay, that makes sense for them, but how does that affect us here in Malaysia?
Well, higher oil prices mean businesses and consumers, we all have to pay more. Leads to inflation, could slow down economic growth. It's a tough balancing act for OPEC plus soy, their own interests versus the global economy.
It just goes to show. What happens on the other side of the world can have a real impact on us right here. We're all connected. Speaking of global trends, AI, it's moving fast. Lots of developments there.
All the time. Opportunities and concerns all mixed together. There was that thing recently with OpenAI CEO talking about Elon Musk and his, increasing influence in the AI field.
Yeah, Musk has been pretty vocal about his worries, hasn't he? About AI safety, ethical development. He was even one of the founders of OpenAI, though he's not involved anymore.
Right, and now he's got his own AI ventures, XAI, and then there's that government role he's taken on. Some people think that gives him a lot of power over how AI is developed.
And there are those who are worried that he might use that power to, I don't know, benefit his own companies or create problems for competitors like OpenAI.
Exactly. So what did OpenAI's CEO have to say about all that? Well, he basically brushed it off, said it would be wrong to use political power like that. He seemed confident that Musk wouldn't do it.
So they're not shying away from the competition.
Not at all. He even called XAI a serious competitor, acknowledged Musk's plans for a massive new AI data center in the U.S.
Sounds like we're watching a major rivalry unfold.
Oh, for sure. And that kind of competition, it can lead to some amazing innovation. Benefits everyone in the end.
Absolutely. And it shows how interconnected the whole tech industry is. Companies and personalities all over the world shaping this field. And we're a part of it too. Speaking of which, NVIDIA. They're making moves in Southeast Asia.
They are.
I keep hearing about their AI chips, those data center projects. What are they doing in our neck of the woods?
They've been on a bit of a tour, striking deals and making announcements. Just recently signed a deal to set up a new AI research and development center in Vietnam.
Vietnam's becoming quite the hub for tech investment, isn't it?
Yeah.
What about Malaysia? Any NVIDIA news for us?
Well, there are reports that they're talking to TSMC, the chip manufacturer, about producing their latest AI chips at that new TSMC plant in the U.S.
Okay, but how does that involve us?
Well, TSMC, they already have a big presence here in Malaysia, several manufacturing plants. And their expansion here, it's been a boost for our semiconductor industry.
So if NVIDIA goes ahead with this partnership, some of that chip manufacturing could end up happening right here.
It's definitely possible. And if it does, it would be huge for our economy and for our place in that global tech supply chain.
It's a good reminder that even with all the big global players making moves, we're still a part of it all. But, sometimes the simplest ideas can be the most successful.
You're talking about CropMate, that impressive debut on the stock market?
Exactly. That fertilizer company. Homegrown Malaysian success story. Strong start on their first day of trading. It's a real achievement.
It is, and they've got a solid plan. China's demand for durian, the expected recovery in fertilizer prices.
But it's not just about what they sell, it's what their success represents.
Yeah.
With all the controversies, the uncertainty, here's a local company doing well, gaining the trust of investors. It's a reminder that there are still opportunities for growth, for prosperity, right here in Malaysia.
That's a great point. CropMate's success, it's a real testament to the resilience, the entrepreneurial spirit that we see in so many Malaysian businesses. Gives us a reason to be optimistic.
It does. You got to remember, alongside the challenges, there are always positive things happening. And speaking of looking ahead, that's where we'll wrap up part 2 of our deep dive into Malaysia Money Matters.
Be sure to join us again for part 3. We'll be discussing the key takeaways from all these stories and what you, our listeners, should be keeping an eye on in the coming weeks.
Welcome back to the show. We've covered a lot of ground, haven't we? Legal issues, market ups and downs, the global picture. So let's take a step back and think about the key takeaways here. What should our listeners, anyone interested in the Malaysian economy, what should they be thinking about going forward?
Well, I think one of the big things that's come up again and again is this demand for transparency, accountability.
Yeah.
Whether it's Fashion Valet, that Temasek UMobile deal, even the Batu Putih issue, people want answers.
They do. They want to know what's going on, why decisions are being made, and they want to know that things are being done the right way.
Exactly. Investors, the public, they're getting more informed, more savvy. They're not just going to take things at face value. And those who don't meet those expectations, well, they're going to face the music.
And that's not just about protecting individual investors. It's about keeping our whole market healthy, making sure Malaysia stays attractive for foreign investment.
Couldn't agree more.
Another thing we saw, the Malaysian market, it's constantly changing.
Yeah.
The FBM KLCI changes, that's a perfect example. Some companies are doing great, others are struggling. You got to stay informed, be ready to adapt.
No room for complacency, that's for sure. But that constant change, it also means there are always opportunities out there. For those who do their research, spot the trends early on.
True, true. And then there's a whole global landscape. Can't forget about that. OPEC Plus and the energy market, AI, just changing everything so fast. What happens on the other side of the world, it affects us here.
We're all part of the same system, whether we like it or not.
We are. So we need to understand these forces, these global trends, figure out what they mean for us, how we can position ourselves, to weather the storms and capitalize on the opportunities. Inflation, AI, it's all connected.
It is.
But, it's easy to get caught up in the doom and gloom, the negativity.
Yeah.
We got to remember, there are positive stories too.
Oh, yeah. Lots of them.
CropMate, their IPO, that's a great example. Local company, doing well, building trust. There's progress happening, success.
Yeah.
We just got to look for it.
You're absolutely right. There are entrepreneurs out there innovating, companies growing, investors finding new ways to succeed. It's a reason to be optimistic, I think, about Malaysia's future.
It is. Challenges are always going to be there, but so are opportunities. We just got to keep our eyes open. So as we wrap up this deep dive into Malaysia Money Matters, remember, staying informed is key.
That's how you make good decisions. Navigate the complexities of the market. And speaking of staying informed, don't forget to subscribe to the Malaysia Money Matters podcast. We'll keep you up to date on everything that matters to you, the investor. Until next time, keep learning, keep exploring, and keep investing wisely.
Hey there, thanks for tuning in. If you would like a deeper dive into all the investment opportunities from today's news, subscribe to my newsletter at moneymatters.substack.com. I will be sharing a deeper analysis of the key investment opportunities from today's news, including what makes these opportunities stand out and how they fit into the broader market trends. By subscribing to the Malaysia Money Matters newsletter, you will also get exclusive insights on my watch list and portfolio and fundamental reports on Malaysian listed companies.